with the life insurance, because I have one of these policies. I found out about this a couple of years ago. I saw the value. I went ahead and implemented it, and I've already used it, right? And so I know there's a lot of technical detail within that whole concept of this whole life insurance policy, but let people know, tell them a little bit more detail about how that needs to be set up, because I know it's different than a traditional whole life insurance policy with the setup, because this does accumulate cash value very quickly, sometimes within the first year, and you can add extra money to it to help with the cash value and boost that, and that just increases the basis level for your compounding growth in the future. And then also I've heard ideas about using it, not just pulling the money for investments or other life occurrences, but also using it for like end of life care or retirement funding and things of that nature. So can you go into those two things? Because I feel like that's something that people don't realize. You can actually use living benefits of a life insurance company because they only think about the death benefit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yes, I could talk for hours about all the different benefits of a life insurance policy, but just at the high level view. So number one, because like I mentioned, I didn't even know what whole life insurance was until, when I started this. So I should break it down just with people who might've been in the same boat as me. Yeah. So most people are familiar with term life insurance. And the reason that term life insurance is so cheap or, affordable, but cheap, is because it's usually for a term or a period of time, maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Typically, most people have life insurance up to like, say, age, in their 50s or up into 60. And the reason that it's so cheap is because actuarially speaking, right, just based on real information, real data, it is so unlikely that a person will pass away in that time frame that the risk to the insurance company is so low that they're able to offer you that product for such a low amount of dollars. In actuality, less than 2% of all term life insurance policies actually pay out a death benefit. That's how likely it is for you to pass away
2%?
in that time. Less than 2%.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm not saying that there isn't a use for it. There's definitely a use for it, right? And especially I still offer convertible term. Convertible term life insurance is where you hold this insurance for a period of time. And in that, let's say it's for a 20-year period. In that 20-year period, you're able to convert those dollars into whole life insurance over time, because maybe you can't afford all the insurance that you're entitled to right away. But we can at least get you insured for that amount using a term policy, a convertible term policy. And as your income grows over time, or your net worth, or you have other incomes coming in, we can then start to convert it from term into whole life. So you're able to start to build wealth in that way. But some people, all they can afford is term. So it's good. It's better to have some insurance than none. But with whole life insurance, you have this cash value component to it. Okay. Term life does not have this. Whole life insurance has this cash value component. I tell people to think of it as sort of the wallet of their whole life insurance policy. So the first job of life insurance, when you're paying those premiums, is to be able to replace your income upon death. That's what that death benefit is for. And the other key thing is that that death benefit goes to your loved ones income tax free. When you leave your loved ones an IRA or 401k or, even a bank account, most other vehicles, they're going to have to pay taxes on that money once they receive it, once they withdraw it themselves, right? So just receiving it. I'm just talking about just income tax. I'm not even talking about estate planning, anything like that. This is just income tax. So if you pass away and you still have, 500,000 in a 401k, when your loved ones, when they start to withdraw those monies, each time they take a withdrawal, they have to pay the taxes. Just like we talked about when you would take the taxes, they're going to have to pay the taxes on it. Okay. And that income that they take, it's going to be added on to their income. So it might push them into even higher tax bracket. So they're going to end up paying more taxes than you probably would have wanted, right? So it's like, are you really leaving your money to your loved ones or to Uncle Sam? But with a death benefit from a life insurance policy, it is going to your loved ones income tax free. Okay. So that's the first thing. That's the death benefit. That's the insurance portion of it. And then, like I said, there's the cash value, or like the wallet or the savings portion of it, right? This is a great alternative than having, your your savings in a bank earning 0.01%, this is like your capital reserves. This is where your long-term money, this is where you want to keep this, and say like that wallet or cash value portion of your whole life insurance. Now, as you alluded to, there are other living benefits, meaning there are other ways that you can take advantage of your policy while you're alive. So there's something called an accelerated death benefit rider. This is usually offered by most insurance carriers, top carriers, for no additional cost to you, but you have this ability to be able to tap into the death benefit in your later years, or I guess it doesn't even have to be in your later years, because there's a terminal illness portion to this. So if you were diagnosed with some kind of illness or sickness, and the doctors only, estimated that you'd have 12 months or less to live, you'd be considered terminal. And if you needed to be able to tap into these funds because you needed to maybe get nursing, assistance from a nurse, you're not able to do some of your just daily activities, washing yourself, cleaning yourself, some of those things, you might need to hire a nurse, or you might need to go to a facility. You can tap into these dollars and use part of that while you're alive to take care of the cost of some of those services. Okay. And then just like you're alluding to, it's essentially a loan, but it just has some different tax benefits. But once you pass away, your family doesn't have to pay that back. The insurance company would just deduct those costs, or what that amount that you had outstanding, deduct it from the death benefit that they then pass on to your loved ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's also something called a disability waiver of premium that I always encourage people to get, especially if they're still in their 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s, because this covers, in the event that you were to get sick, cancer, MS, just something where you might not be able to work for a certain period of time. If your income gets interrupted from a qualifying, health concern, the insurance company will take over making your premium payments for you. So they'll keep your policy in place. Your policy will continue to grow from those premium payments, and they'll do that up to a period of time. For some companies, most companies, they'll do it up to 2 years. And after that, if you're still not able to work because of whatever the health issue is, they will just essentially consider your policy paid up at that point. So it just means you won't be able to put any more additional money into it, but your cash value is still going to grow. Your death benefit is still going to grow if it's structured properly. And when I say structured properly, what I mean is, as you mentioned, most whole life insurance policies, if they're designed by, someone who's just not familiar with the strategy, they're probably just designing the policy for the death benefit. This is opposite. So this is really designing the policy for the purpose of building up cash value sooner and quicker. So it's a little bit harder to explain, but just keep it at a high level. It's a policy designed to build up, high cash values, and you want to have this with a mutual life insurance company. A mutual life insurance company is one where the policyholders are the owners. Okay. A stock insurance company is one where they have shareholders, right? So they're going to be focused on investing in things that might have a little bit more risk. They're looking on creating a return for their shareholders, and then potentially paying a dividend to the policyholders. You don't want to be second. You want to be first, right? So you want to be at a mutual company that is going to be investing, conservatively, making sure their portfolio is growing so that 20, 30, 50, 80 years down the road, the money's there for your family to get the death benefit when you pass away. But that's why you want to work with certain companies that have been around. The companies I work with have been around since the 1800s. So they've proven that they, have longevity. So there's lots of different living benefits, is what we call them, that you can get as part of the whole life insurance.
Okay. That's great. And I, like I said, I have the policy, so I'm sold on it. There are some people who just feel like they have other things in place that cover all of those issues down the road. But I think there's just so many other benefits, like the death benefit is the cherry on top instead of the primary use, right? So I love it. I love the flexibility. I love that it grows uninterrupted. I love not having to pay on anybody else's, principal payment schedule. And I think it's a great idea.
Did you love this episode of Share the Wealth Show? If you know of someone who would benefit from this information, don't keep it to yourself. Share the wealth and make sure to leave us a rating and review. We'll see you for next week's episode. Subscribe so you'll be notified.